Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Dee, and today we'll be learning how to make these beautiful wide leg cover up pants. They are super comfy and they are made for a plus size, but you can adjust them to any size that you are trying to make. This can accommodate someone with the hip measurement of 50 and more. Actually, even a smaller person can wear them if they are trying to wear oversized pants. The thigh measurement is 26 inches, which is about 66 centimeters. So you're just going to grab your materials and let's get started. So these are the materials you're going to need in today's tutorial: some scissors, stitch markers, which is optional, a tape measure, and some yarn of your choice. I'll be using this yarn called Knit Me. I found it in my local store and I decided to give it a try. It recommends a 3.5mm hook, but I'm going to double the strands and use a 5.5mm hook. I'll put this aside. So the yarn is very thin, so I'm going to double it to achieve a medium weight. So you're going to make a knot and you're going to make a chain long enough to go around your hips. Just make sure that it's a multiple of 5. I'm going to make a chain of 120 and I'll be making a size large to extra large. So go ahead and make the chain and I'll meet you back once you have it. So once you have your chain of 120 or whatever number you've got, you're going to make sure that your chain is not twisted and attach it to the very first chain or last chain that you have on the other side and make a slip stitch there. And then you're going to chain 3 and make a double crochet into the next stitch. Yarn over, make a double crochet into the next stitch. And you're going to make double crochets in all the stitches around until you get to the very last one. So I'm working on my last stitch here. And then you're going to end the row with a slip stitch on top of the chain 3. Right, and that marks the end of our first row of double crochets. So to start row 2, you're going to chain 3, yarn over, make a double crochet in that same stitch where the chain 3 is coming out of. Then chain 2, yarn over and go back in that same space and make 2 more double crochets. And at the end of it, this is what you should be having. And then you're going to chain 4, yarn over, skip 4 stitches, skip 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the 5th one you're going to make 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 more double crochets, all in the same space. And then chain 4, yarn over, skip 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the 5th one you're going to make a shell. A shell is 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, all in the same space. And then chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn over, skip 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the 5th one make a shell of 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets all in that same space. And this is what you should have, and this is going to be the pattern for our second row. So you're going to repeat this all the way around until you get back to where we started off row 2 from. When you get to the end, you're going to skip the last 4 stitches and you're going to make a slip stitch on top of the chain 3. You can as well just go in the middle of the 2 stitches. It's hard to get on top of the chain 3 sometimes. So by doing this, you have ended your second row. So now we need to get to the middle of this shell. You're going to slip stitch on top of the next stitch. So make a slip stitch on top of that double crochet and make a second slip stitch in the center of the shell or in the chain 2 space, and then you're going to chain 3, yarn over in that same stitch, make a double crochet, chain 2, back in that same space, make 2 more double crochets, making a shell. So from here we're going to be chaining 5. We're no longer chaining 4, we only chained 4 for the second row. So for the third row and all the rows we're going to be making, we'll be chaining 5. Alright, so chain 5, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Oops. Yarn over and you're going to make a shell into the next shell, like in the next chain 2 space. And then chain 5, yarn over, and you're going to go in the next chain 2 space and make a shell. So this is very easy, guys. It's just a repetition of the same thing. And then chain 5, yarn over and make another shell in the chain 2 space. Chain 2, 2 more double crochets, and this is what you're going to be repeating. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, make a shell, chain 5, make a shell in the next chain 2 space, and you're going to repeat this all the way around until you get back to where we started off row 3 from. So you're going to end row 3 with a slip stitch and then slip stitch on top of the next double crochet, and you're going to make your second slip stitch in the chain 2 space, and then chain 3 and make a shell. So you're going to repeat row 3 until you have a total of 20 rows, and then I'll get back and show you what to do next. So repeat row 3 and I'll meet you back once you have it. So I have completed my 20 rows, and this is what I have, and you should also be having something like this. So what we're going to do next is we're going to split this into the long pants that we are trying to make. So what you need to do is align it very well, making sure that each shell is on top of the other, like how you see mine right here. And then you're going to count the shells that you're seeing on top, like the ones that are facing you, and you're not going to count the one that's in the sides here and this here. I'm not going to count it. So you're going to count the shells that you're seeing, like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 and 11. I have 11 shells here. So what you're going to do is you're going to mark the one that's in the middle. So if I count mine, they are 11, and that means that 1 2 3 4 5 in this next shell, this is where I'm going to split my shots from, right here. So it means that this side is going to have 5 shells, and this is also going to have 5 shells. It's that simple. Just identify the middle part of your pants, and that's where we're going to split them from. So like I said, this is mine, and you can use your stitch marker to mark the other side so that you don't get confused. So this is where we're going to split the short side. So for row 21, what you're going to do is chain 3, yarn over, and make a double crochet. Remember, the chain 3 counts as a double crochet, so that means we have 2 of them here. So once you're done with this, what you're going to do is chain 10. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. So once you have your 10 chains, you're going to turn your shots around. So you're going to turn your shots around like this, and then you're going to remove your stitch marker and make a shell in that chain 2 space where the stitch marker was. So make there a shell, chain 2, and make 2 more double crochets in that same space, like that, and then chain 5, 3 4 5, and make a shell just like how we have been doing it. Chain 5, 1 2 3 4 5, and make a shell into the next chain 2 space, and you're going to repeat this until you get back to the crotch part where I'll be showing you how to work around the chain. So I have worked my way around, and as you can see, we made 2 double crochets here. So what you'll do is chain 5, yarn over, make 2 double crochets in that space, like that, chain 2, and then you're going to slip stitch to join. So just go on top of the stitch and make a slip stitch. So for this side of the shots, we have ended our row 21. Remember, we're still on row 20 for this other side. So we're now going to be working on one leg at a time. So once you're here at the end, what you're going to do is chain 1 and turn your work like this, and then you're going to make a slip stitch in that shell in the chain 2 space right there. Make a slip stitch, oops, and then chain 3, yarn over and make a shell here. And then chain 5 and make a shell in the next chain 2 space. So we're now back to repeating what we've been doing. Chain 5 and make a shell into the next chain 2 space. So you're going to continue with this row. This is now row 22 for this leg hole. So you're going to continue with this row 22 until you get back to this side where we started off from. So we're now going to work around the chain that we made. So what you're going to do is chain 5, 1 2 3 4 5, and then you're going to count 4 stitches. This is 1 2 3 4, and in the 5th one you're going to make a shell. So chain 2, make 2 more double crochets in that same space. And then chain 5 and slip stitch to join. Like that. So we've kind of made an increase here for our leg hole. So you're going to make your second slip stitch on top of the next double crochet and another slip stitch in the chain 2 space. And your work should be looking like this. So I don't know whether you've noticed, but we have now started working on one leg at a time, and we are turning our rows every time we end the row. So chain 3 and turn your work, and then make a shell in that very first shell you're working on. Chain 5 3 4 5 and slip stitch to join to end the row. You're going to be repeating that row 23 until the leg hole is long enough to where you want it to, how you want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and work the rest of the rows off camera, and I'll get back and show you guys how many rows I have made, because I'm not sure how many they're gonna be right now. So I'll go ahead and complete my pants, and I'll get back and show you how to start working on the second leg hole, and then we'll go ahead and complete the whole pants. So continue with that same pattern. I'll get back here shortly. So guys, I went ahead and completed my one leg hole, and this is what I have. So like I said guys at the beginning of this tutorial, these are made for a plus size person. So yeah, they are wide leg pants, so they'll be able to fit her very well. So I made a total of 65 rows, counting from the very first row of double crochets going down to the very last row of shells that we made. So I didn't do anything special. I continued with the same pattern of 5 chains and then the shells. So that's what we have. So I'm now going to show you how to work on the second leg hole, and then we continue with the same thing until we have the same length for our second leg hole. So you're going to reattach your yarn. So just simply make a knot, or you can attach it in the best way you know how to. Oops, it's a bit tangled up here. So what you're going to do, you're going to attach it from this side. I don't know whether you guys see it very well. Let me try to zoom in. So this here is the chain that we made for the crotch part. So what you're going to do is you're going to reattach your yarn on this middle shell that we made here. This was the chain, and this is the shell we made in the center of the chain. So you're simply going to reattach your yarn there. Just go between that space, between the stitches, the two shells, and reattach your yarn there. Chain one just to secure it, and then chain 3, yarn over, and make a shell in that space. So the chain 3 is counting as our first double crochet. So chain 2 and make 2 more double crochets in that same space, like that. And then you're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yarn over. So here you're going to go in this same shell here that we have. What you're going to do is skip this shell here and then go into the next. So it means that we're going to have 2 sets of shells in this same space. So go direct in that same space and make a shell. Like that. So it means we've got this shell, and we have also got this shell that was going on the other side of our leg hole. That's how it's looking. So from here you just continue with the chain of 5 and then make a shell in the next chain 2 space, just like how you've been doing it. And the same thing we just did here, you're going to do the same for this other side. You're going to put another set of shell in this space right here, and then you chain 5 and slip stitch to join here. So continue with the chain of 5 and shells separated with a chain 2. Alright guys, so we're now back to this point here, and this is again the crotch part. So like I said earlier, once you get to this point, you're going to make another set of shell in this spot here where you see the other shell going to the other leg hole. So you're simply going to yarn over and make a shell in that same space, and then chain 2, just simply make your shell, then chain 5 and slip stitch to join, and you're going to make your second slip stitch on top of the double crochet, and then make another slip stitch in the chain 2 space to end the row. So that was the 21st row for the second leg hole. So from here it's the same thing we're going to do, like the same thing we've been doing with the other leg hole, making a chain of 3 when starting the row, and then making a shell. It's always separated with a chain 2 and then chain 5, and make a shell into the next chain 2 space, just like how we've been doing. We are not changing anything, just continue with making shells. A shell is a 2 double crochets, chain 2 double crochets in the same space, and then chain 5, and continue with the pattern until your second leg hole is just the same as the first one you made. So I'm now working on my last shell for this second leg. This is the last shell for this row, and this is row 22. As always, end with a slip stitch, a second slip stitch on top of the double crochet, and your last slip stitch in the chain 2 space, and then chain 3, and continue with making your shells. So you're going to repeat row 22 until you have your pants long enough to the same level as the first leg hole that you made. So I'm going to continue with mine, and I'll be showing you how it looks at the end. And then of course we're going to make a chain, and it's going to go around this waist so that it can tighten up everything very well. So I'm now working on my very last shell for this row on my second leg hole. So as always, you're going to end a row with a slip stitch in the next double crochet, and your last slip stitch in the chain space, and then chain 1, and then cut the yarn. I'll be weaving this in through here shortly. So you're now going to make a chain long enough to go around your waist. I made mine a little bit thick because that's what I wanted, so go ahead and make yours, and let's get this tutorial done with. I forgot to mention that you'll need a yarn needle at the beginning of this tutorial there, but you're going to get your yarn needle, and you're going to use that to weave the strand through these double crochets, just like how I'm showing you in the tutorial. So that's what you'll do until you get back to the very end. So guys, I'm done weaving in through my strand or my chain. So these pants are done now, but so I added some tassels on my chain, and I wanted to show you guys how I do it. You separate the 2 strands you have left on your chain, and then you get about 10 inches of fringe, and tie it just like how you see me doing it in the video. It's as simple as that. Then cut. And that's it, guys. We are done with today's tutorial. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video.